So in this today's particular lecture, we'll understand the concept of vibration measuring instruments. Now first of all, let us understand introduction. So instruments which are used to measure displacement, velocity or acceleration of any vibrating body are called as vibration measuring instruments, right? So if there is a vibrating body, let us say, and if you want to measure practically the displacement or maybe velocity x dot and x double dot is the acceleration of this particular vibrating body, so we can use the instruments called as a vibration measuring instruments. Okay, so we will understand today the detailed analysis of vibration measuring instruments. Now, these vibration measuring devices which are having MCK, there is a mass, spring and a damper as a components, are called as seismic instruments, or they are also called as a seismometers. Now, first of all, let us understand what is the necessity of these vibration measuring instruments. Why we need a practical instrument to measure practically the vibrations of any vibrating body. The first point is selection of operational speed. Now basically the measurement of natural frequencies of a machine or structure which is vibrating is useful for selecting the operational speed of the machine, or you can say any machine which is mounted on the structure. Why? Because operational speeds are selected such as that they should be far away from the natural frequency so as to avoid the resonance. Now we know that the resonance condition is nothing but the omega by omega n, and omega is nothing but the natural frequency, and omega is nothing but the you can say the operational speed or external exciting frequency. Now, when this condition occurs, that is omega is equal to omega, the resonance will occur and the system may fail, or the structure may fail, or the particular machine may fail. Okay, so if we are able to measure the natural frequency of a machine or any structure which is vibrating, okay, so it is very useful for us to select the operational speed, that is omega, and we will select the operational speed omega in such a way that the omega is not equal to omega n, so that you can avoid the resonance. This is the first necessity. Then actual values. Now, to know the actual values of vibration characteristic of a machine or structure, this is one of the important necessity of a vibration measuring instrument, to know the actual values of vibration characteristic of a machine or structure, because the theoretically calculated values may be different from the actual values due to assumption made in the analysis. Now till now we have already calculated omega as well as omega n by using a theoretical concepts, okay, by considering some small assumptions, okay. So that is why, due to these assumptions which we have considered or made in the analysis, because of this, the actual values of the vibration characteristic of a machine or structure may be different from the theoretical values. Okay, so we can also know the actual values of a particular vibrating system. Then frequencies of vibration. Now, in what do you exactly mean by the frequency of vibration? Now, if you want to design and develop a vibration isolation system, because vibration isolation system isolates the machine from the foundation and vice versa, so that the vibration is not transmitted from the machine to the foundation or the structure. So now, if you want to design and develop a vibration isolation system for a particular vibrating machine or structure, it is very important to know the frequencies of vibration and what are the forces developed due to the vibration. So if you are able to calculate and record the frequency of vibration and analyze the forces developed due to the vibration, it is very helpful in designing the vibration isolation system. Then ground vibrations. Now ground vibration means what? The vibrations due to the earthquakes or maybe fluctuating wind velocities on structure or buildings, random vibrations due to ocean waves, etc. These all are comes under the ground vibration. Okay, so with the help of these instruments, we can get the information of ground vibrations which occurs due to the earthquakes, fluctuating wind velocities on structures or buildings. For example, we have seen one video on a Tacoma narrow bridge which failed due to the wind velocity, fluctuating wind velocity. Then random vibration due to ocean waves, etc. So we can get a good information regarding these ground vibrations. So considering all these four important necessity points, it is very important to design the vibration measuring instruments, and it is very important to use the vibration measuring instruments to record the natural frequencies as well as the as well as to select the operational speeds, to know the actual values, to know the frequencies of vibration, and to know the ground vibrations. Now, once you have understand the introduction and the necessity, let us understand the process. What is the vibration measuring process? So, the first element in the process is vibrating machine or the structure of which you want to measure the natural frequency, or you want to measure the vibrations. Okay. Now, the vibration measurement process always starts by sensing the vibratory motion from vibrating machine or structure, and then it is that particular vibratory motion or from a vibrating machine or structure is converted it into the electrical signal with the help of transducer or pickup. So this vibration transducer or pickup, we normally call it as a vibration pickup or vibration transducer, is the primary sensing element. Okay. So what are the primary sensing element? Okay. So there are basically three primary sensing elements which will be studied in this particular video. The first is vibrometer. The first one is vibrometer. Second one is velometer, and the third one is accelerometer. So all these three are nothing but a vibration measuring instruments, or they are also called as a vibration pickup. They are also called as a primary sensing elements, where the vibrometer measures the x, that is the displacement, velometer measures the velocity x dot, and accelerometer measures the x double dot acceleration depending upon the application. So these primary sensing elements are attached or connected to this vibrating machine or structure, and then this vibration transducer or pickup or primary sensing element converts this vibrating motion into the electrical signal, and then this signal, or you can also call it the output electric signal. So here this signal is nothing but the output signal. So you can call this as a signal which comes from the vibration pickup, that is the vibrometer, velometer, accelerometer, is also called as the output signal. Now this output signal is sent to the signal conversion element. Now what is the function of the signal conversion element? Now this output signal from the vibration transducer or pickup is which is in the form of the voltage or the current. Now basically it will be in the form of voltage or maybe in the current. Now this output signal which is in the form of voltage or current is too small to record, and that is why it has to be converted, it has to be amplified. So the signal conversion unit is used to amplify the signals from the transducer to the required values. So this output signal which is too small to record is amplified or converted into some required value by using the signal conversion element. Okay, so you can write it as a amplification. So we normally, this process is called the amplification process, right? Now this output signal, now let us say this is the output signal, or you can also call it as an amplified output. So this amplified output which comes from the signal conversion unit is sent to the display unit. Now what is the function of display unit? The output signals from the signal conversion unit is displayed on this display unit for visual inspection, and then this information is recorded and stored in the computer, which we can use for some detailed analysis. Okay, and then finally the data which is stored can be analyzed to know the vibration characteristic of a vibratory machine or data structure. So that is why the last step is nothing but a data analysis. So I hope you have understand the process. So first there is a vibrating machine at number one position. So from this vibrating machine to this vibrating machine, we are connecting a primary sensing element, which is also called a transducer. The function of transducer is to convert this mechanical vibratory motion into the electrical signal, that is in terms of voltage and current. Then it's amplified by the signal conversion element, and then it is displayed for a visual inspection of the display unit. And then finally, the recorded or the stored data is used for the detailed analysis of a vibration characteristic of a particular vibratory machine or the machine structure. This is called as the vibration measuring process. Now, as I said that we have three instruments: vibrometer, which measures the displacement; velometer, which measures the velocity; and accelerometer, which measures the acceleration. So the vibratory response of a vibratory system can be expressed in terms of various parameters like displacement or amplitude. So we can measure the displacement and amplitude. Then acceleration, x double dot, or velocity, x dot. Frequency, we can also measure in terms of frequency frequency, and last one is induced stress. So these are nothing but a various vibratory response, various parameters of a vibratory response. Okay. Now the choice of parameter depends upon the objective and the field of application. So which you will select, whether you want a displacement or amplitude as a parameter, that is x, or you want x dot, or you want x double dot, or you want omega, or you want some stress. So the choice of the parameter depends upon the objective and the field of application, and accordingly we will select the vibratory measurement instrument. For example, let us take an example of the vibration in a vehicle. Now, the vibration in a vehicle is normally expressed in terms of acceleration, which is related to the passenger comfort, because the vibrations which are coming from the road surface should not get transmitted to the passenger, so passenger should have a comfortable drive, right? So that is why we have to design the suspension system accordingly. So there the parameter which is used to express a vibratory response is nothing but the acceleration, that is x double dot, and for acceleration obviously we will use the accelerometer. Okay. Next, fatigue of an element. Now, if the fatigue of an element is the primary concern, then it should be expressed in terms of induced dynamic stress. So the parameter is nothing but an induced dynamic stress. Okay. So this is how we have to select the parameter. Now, let us understand the first of all seismic instrument or seismometer, and then we will understand what is vibrometer, velometer, and what is exometer. So vibrometer, exometer, and velometer are nothing but a slight modifications of the seismometer. What is seismometer? Seismometer is a device or is an instrument which consists of MCK parameters, that is a mass, spring, and a damper. So a seismic instrument consists of a spring mass damper system which is mounted in the casing. Now let us call this as a casing. Now this is a casing. Okay, so you can also call it as a frame. Okay, so this seismometer consists of a frame or a casing in which the mass M is supported by means of this spring K and the damper C. So this mass M is placed inside this casing or the frame, and this mass M is supported by the two isolators, that is a K and the spring and a damper. Now, this particular casing or frame is fastened or bolted. Okay, so this casing or a frame is fastened or bolted to this vibrating structure or a machine, or you can also call it as a body, right? So what will happen? This casing or frame, which is fastened to this vibrating machine or a structure. So as this vibrating machine or the structure vibrates, this casing or a frame will also vibrate along with this vibrating machine or structure, and then we can record the acceleration or maybe the displacement or maybe the velocity uh, by using some transducers. Okay, so if we put some transducer in this instrument, for example, if we put a displacement transducer, if we put the velocity transducer, or we can put the acceleration transducer, so we can measure the displacement, velocity, or acceleration by using this instrument. So this is the basic instrument which is called the seismometer. And the very important thing is that this seismometer is equivalent to the spring mass damper system having base or support excitation. Means what? Here, this vibrating machine or structure is similar to the analysis of a force vibration due to the support excitation or base excitation. So we assume that the excitation of a base or a machine or structure. Now here the vibrating machine or structure acts as a base, which is excited by a harmonic excitation force, which is equal to y. So y is nothing but a displacement of a vibrating body, which is equal to the harmonic absolute displacement, that is y sine omega t. And x is nothing but the absolute displacement of the mass, or you can also call it as a steady state displacement. And steady state displacement is given by particular integral, which we have already studied at the start of this module, and particular integral is given by x sine omega t minus phi. Okay, and then this z is nothing but the relative displacement or relative amplitude of the mass with respect to the frame or casing. So all these three parameters we have already studied in the support excitation or the base excitation, and we have done the analysis of Z upon Y and have derived the formula of Z upon Y in the support excitation of the base excitation, and same we will use here, right? So let's start with the derivation. So let us consider a base having harmonic motion y is equal to y sin omega t. So we have considered this vibrating motion of structure as a base which is harmonically excited, that is y sin omega t, right? Then what is y? Is y, small y is nothing but a displacement of a vibrating body or absolute harmonic displacement of a vibrating body. X is nothing but the absolute displacement of the mass m, which is also called as the steady state amplitude, steady state displacement, right? So Z is also called as a relative displacement of the mass with respect to the frame or casing. Okay. Now the differential equation of motion is same as the force vibration due to the exciting motion. So now we know that Z is equal to x minus y, because it is nothing but the relative displacement of mass with respect to frame. Okay, so the relative displacement of the mass is x and displacement of the frame is nothing but a y, because the frame is fastened or molded to the vibrating machine or a body whose displacement is y. So if we consider z is equal to x minus y, so z dot is equal to x dot minus y dot, z double dot is equal to x double dot minus y double dot. Okay, so now what is the equation of motion? So equation of motion will become mx double dot plus c into x dot minus y dot, right, plus k into x minus y is equal to 0. The same equation of motion what we have considered in the particular analysis of force vibration due to the support excitation. Okay, so this differential equation is same as it is. Now we know that mx double dot x dot minus y dot is nothing but the z dot, and this x minus y is nothing but the z, and x double dot is nothing but, you know, from this equation I am getting x double dot is equal to z double dot plus y double dot. So putting in this equation I am getting m into z double dot plus y double dot is equal to cz dot plus kz is equal to 0. So from this I am getting mz dot double dot plus cz dot plus kz is equal to minus my double dot mz dot plus cz dot plus kz is equal to, and we know that y double dot is equal to, we know that y is equal to capital Y sin omega t. So if you take a double derivative, y dot double dot is equal to minus y capital Y, which is nothing but the amplitude of base or amplitude of vibrating machine or the body or structure, y into omega square sin omega t. So this minus and will get cancelled, and finally you are getting this equation. Now we compare this equation with the standard equation. What is the standard equation of force vibration? Mz double dot plus Cz dot plus Kz is equal to F0 sin omega t. So this F0 is nothing but m omega square capital Y. So I will suggest you that you watch the earlier videos of force vibration due to the support excitation also to understand this more into the details. So comparing with the standard equation, F0 is equal to m omega square Y. So same I am getting. Now we know that the equation of force vibration is equal to F0 by K divided by this denominator term, which is always same. So that F0 is nothing but the m omega square Y. Okay. So from this what I will get? I will get Z upon Y. If I am taking this capital Y and dividing it with respect to Z, so and we know that omega square will as it is, and m upon k is nothing but a 1 upon omega n square. So this becomes omega square upon omega n square, which is equal to frequency ratio r square. So finally I am getting the same formula as the support excitation, which is equal to z upon y r square upon square root of 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square. So the equation, or you can say the amplitude, that is the z, the steady state amplitude z for this particular seismic instrument or seismometer is same as that of the force vibration due to the support excitation, which is equal to z is equal to r square upon square root of same term into capital Y, where z is the relative amplitude of mass with respect to the frame or casing, or you can also call it the steady state relative amplitude of a mass with respect to frame of the casing, and y is nothing but the amplitude of a base or amplitude of a vibrating machine or the structure. So ratio of this is nothing but r square upon 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square, and obviously the phase difference between the exciting motion and the relative motion is same, which is equal to phi is equal to tan of 2 zeta upon 1 minus r square. Okay, so phase difference will remain always same. So I hope you have understand this. So now once we have derived this formula, the basic formula we have already derived. This basic formula which we have derived for the seismometer. Okay. Now let us understand how this seismometer will behave as a vibrometer, velometer, exometer. Okay. So first of all, let us understand the concept of vibrometer or vibration pickup. Now, vibrometer is called a vibration pickup, or you can also call it as a displacement measuring instrument, right? So now you can see that everything is same, whole structure is same, only here we have included a element called the strain sensing transducer. Now this basically vibrometer is also vibration pickup, or you can also call it as a transducer. But this is the transducer which is used to measure the displacement x or amplitude. So if you want to measure the displacement x or amplitude, you have to use such a sensing element which will measure the displacement. To generate the output voltage signal proportional to the relative displacement of a vibrating body, we have used a strain sensing transducer in this seismometer, and now it is called the vibrometer or vibration pickup. Okay. The damping factor is kept 0.7 or less than 0.7. So this detail we will understand in the graph of a vibrometer and the exometer. This vibrometer is a low frequency transducer having a range 1 Hz to 5 Hz. Now low frequency transducer means what? It is having a low natural frequency omega n, which is equal to k upon n. Now you know that this low natural frequency, that is low natural frequency omega n, can be achieved when your k is large and your mass m is, sorry, your k is very small, your k, that is the stiffness is low, sorry, and your mass m is large, right? So such a, you can say, applications or instruments on a machine where you have a large mass and the stiffness is low. So you can call such instruments as a bulky instruments. Okay, so that is why such type of instrument, vibrometer instrument, is not used in most of the applications, right? Because that makes a, you can say, instrument a bulky instrument, right? Because if you want a low natural frequency, then you have to keep your mass very high. Okay, then it is used to measure the displacement of a vibrating body having vibrating frequency range of 10 to 10 Hz. So this is the range of vibrometer. Okay, so what are the applications? This instrument is used to record the bending vibrations, vibrations of huge structures, etc. Okay, why? Because it is having a low natural frequency, so omega n is low. Okay, so this is all about the vibrometer. Now let us understand next concept. There is a velometer or velocity pickup. Now obviously velocity pickup or velometer is an instrument which measures the velocity of a vibrating body in stop. And the last phase, the seismometer, is called as a velometer if it is used to measure the displacement x. So first of all, let us understand, and then I will go to this particular diagram. Seismometer can be used as a velocity measurement instrument, that is a velometer, if it satisfies the two conditions. First is low natural frequency, again same. So omega is equal to square root of k by m, where mass m should be large and k should be low. So again it results in a bulky instrument. Then it generates an output voltage signal proportional to the relative velocity of a vibrating body. In last case, it generated an output voltage signal proportional to the relative displacement of a vibrating body. Okay. Then the damping factor is also same, 0.7 or less than 0.7. If 0.7 is a significant value, that is zeta is equal to 0.707. So at this particular value of zeta, there is a different behavior of the graph. So that we will understand in the graph. Velometer is also low frequency transducer having a range 1 Hz to 5 Hz. So again you have to keep low, it is a low frequency transducer. Again it is used to measure the velocity of a vibrating body having vibrating frequency range of 10 to 1000 hertz, or you can also measure up to the 2000 hertz. Again, this instrument is used to record the building vibrations, vibrations of few structures, etc. Okay, so where the mass is very high. So now you can see the construction here. Okay, now basically this velocity or velocity pickup or velometer consists of a seismic mass m. There is a seismic mass m with wire coils. You can see this is the wire coil, okay, which is wounded around this seismic mass m. Okay, and then you can see this wire coils will give you the output voltage signal, which is proportional to the velocity of a relative velocity, right? Now this mass m is also called the seismic mass, which is wounded with wire coils, and it is supported by same spring K and damper C. Okay, is it clear? Now there is one more extra element called as a magnet. This magnet is fixed to the frame. This frame is fastened to this vibrating body. So this frame will vibrate along with this vibrating body, and this vibrating body is given as a base excitation, that is y sine omega t. Okay, so this is again a seismometer, but just here we are changing the transducer. So instead of displacement transducer, that is a strain sensing transducer, we are using this a concept of magnet and a wire coil. So here I am writing sine omega t. Okay, now obviously this magnet is fixed with the frame, so this magnet will also move with respect to the frame and this vibrating body, right? So now there will be the relative motion between the coil and the magnet, right? So there will be the relative motion between the coil and the magnet, because this mass m will also move. So there will be also the motion in this wire as well as the motion in the magnet, which is fixed to the frame. So due to the relative motion between the coil and the magnet, a voltage is induced across the coil. Now we know that magnetism can generate electricity and electricity can generate a magnetism, that is a voltage. So by using this magnetic principle, and due to the relative motion between the magnet and the coil, the voltage is induced, that is output voltage induced across the coil, and this output voltage is calibrated to give the velocity of a vibration. Means what? This output voltage signal is proportional to the relative velocity of a vibrating body. I hope you have understand. So this is nothing but a construction of velometer, right? So this is the second instrument, which is also called a low frequency transducer, and which is used to measure the velocity of a vibrating body having vibrating frequency in the range of 10 to 10, 1000 or 2000 hertz. So basically used to record the building vibrations, vibration. So both are low frequency transducer, that is velometer and the vibrometer. Okay. Now the third one and the very important one is called as excitation pickup or exometer, which is widely used in most of the applications because it is a high frequency transducer as well as light in weight. Okay, why? Please understand the detailed analysis, detail about the exometer, or you can also call it the excitation pickup. Now basically this exometer, that is a exometer, again is a seismometer which consists of a spring mass and a damper. Okay, but here an extra element is used called as a piezoelectric crystal disc. Now this piezoelectric crystal disc is placed between the mass, so it is suppressed by the mass, or it is placed under the mass, and this due to this piezoelectric crystal disc, okay, we can measure the high range frequency, because this piezoelectric crystal is capable of generating a measurable signal even for a small deformation. And if the signals are very weak, we can use the amplifier to amplify them. Okay, and this piezoelectric crystal is having a high frequency range, that is from, you can start slightly from 0 or 0.1 hertz, you can go up to the few megahertz. Okay, so that is why this exometer is called as a high frequency transducer. Okay, and this exometer is based on the principle of piezoelectric effect or piezoelectric crystal. Okay, so this seismometer, after using a piezoelectric crystal, behaves like an exometer, and it satisfies the two conditions. First is what? It is having a very high natural frequency, so omega is equal to square root of k by n. So omega n is very high when your k is large, where spring stiffness is large and mass is very low. Okay, and it generates an output voltage signal proportional to the relative excitation of the vibrating body, and the damping factor is again same 0.707. And this exometer is also called as a high frequency transducer having a range of 0 Hz or 0.5, 0.1 Hz to few megahertz. So it is a very lightweight instrument and can be used in number of applications, and again it is able to measure a low frequency to the high frequency as well. Okay, this is all about the exometer. So these all the three instruments we can use, that is exometer, vibrometer and velometer, for measuring a vibration. Now let us understand the response curve of this vibration measuring instrument, that is a seismometer. Now if you look into this particular graph, you can see that this is the range of seismometer or vibrometer. That is the range of vibrometer, or you can also call it the range of velometer, and this is the range of exometer. So range of exometer means what? This is where the R is very small. What is R? Frequency ratio. And as the frequency ratio is large, okay, you can see that is called the seismometer. Okay, now first of all let us understand why so. And we know that this seismometer, that is a vibrometer or velometer, is a low frequency transducer. So omega n is very low. So you know that R is equal to omega by omega n. So when omega n is very low, your R will increase, right? Because this denominator is less, which is equal to omega by omega n. So that is why the frequency ratio is large for the range of vibrometer. And this exometer is nothing but a high frequency transducer which is having a high natural frequency. So obviously the frequency ratio will decrease. So frequency ratio is in the range of somewhat, let us say 0.75. So 0 to 0.75 is somewhat the range of exometer, and 3 to 5 in this particular graph is the range of vibrometer or a velometer. This is the first observation which we understand. Now secondly, from this particular graph we can see that if omega by omega n, that is R, is very large, okay, means what, as the R goes on increasing, maybe from 1, as it increases, that is R is very large, that is greater than 1, you can see that all the graphs are meeting a line of 1. All the graphs are coinciding a line of 1. So this means that this Z upon Y at R is equal to large, when frequency ratio is very less, I will write here, when R is large, okay, this Z by Y is equal to 1, means what? It approaches towards the 1. So this means, what is Z? This means that Z is equivalent to Y. So this means that the relative amplitude Z is equal to the amplitude of vibrating body Y. And such an instrument is called as a seismometer, right? So your Z is equal to Y when as your frequency ratio goes on increasing, okay? And the very important point you have to understand that this, now if you look at all this graph, this Z is not exactly equal to Y for different values of zeta. Maybe for zeta is equal to 0.25, this line is not close to the 1. Maybe zeta is equal to 1, this line is also not close to 1. Maybe zeta is equal to 0.5, this is also not so close to the 1. Means they are close to the 1, but is not completely close to the 1. But there is a value, significant value of zeta called as a 0.7. You can accurately it is 0.07, where at this value, that is zeta is equal to 0.05, okay, this Z is equal to Y is this Z is approximately, or you can say very closely close to this Y, close to the 1, right? At the value, or you can, how you can define this, at zeta is equal to 0.707, it is possible to have better approximation of relation Z is equal to Y over a wide range of frequency, over a wide range of frequency. Means what? As the frequencies goes on increasing, this Z becomes close to the Y, more close to the Y, at this particular value of zeta is equal to 0.07. This is what we have to understand from this graph, right? So this Z is equal to Y at the value of zeta is equal to 0.7 or 0.707. This particular value we will use while solving the numericals also. Okay, so there will be some close errors also. Maybe this Z upon Y is equal to, not exactly equal to 1, so it can be equal to 1.02. It is nothing but plus 2% error, or maybe this z upon y is equal to 0.98, so this is nothing but a minus 2% error. Okay, so plus minus 2% error will be there for a value of z upon y is equal to 1, but this error, that is a plus minus 2%, will decrease at the value of zeta is equal to 0.7. That is what is zeta is equal to 0.7 or 7, the significant value of the zeta, where you are getting a less error in the relation of z upon y is equal to 1. I hope it is clear to all of you. Now, phase angle, again same, this phase angle phi is equal to always 90 degree at r is equal to 1. Okay, and as r goes on increasing, you can see as r goes on increasing, that is, let us say from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, you can see that this phase angle is approaching towards the 180 degree. This phase angle is approaching towards the 180 degree. So we can say that when r is very very large, here z is equal to y and phase angle is approximately equal to 180 degree. This is nothing but the observations from this. Okay. Now let us analyze the formula. Now we have already derived a formula for the seismometer, which is equal to z upon y is equal to r square upon square root of 1 minus r square plus 2 zeta r square. Right? This is what we have analyzed. This is what we have calculated. Now this z upon y is also called as a recorded motion upon exciting motion. What is Z? Z is nothing but the relative amplitude, and Y is nothing but the amplitude of a vibrating body. Z is also called as a recording motion. So sometimes in the problem they will call it as a recorded motion. This Y is also called as a exciting motion. Means what? The base excitation which we are exciting, and Z is nothing but a recorded motion. There is a relative velocity, relative displacement, or relative acceleration. This recorded motion is also called as a recorded or measured value. It is also called as a true value. So this ratio z upon y can be also called as a ratio of recorded motion upon exciting motion, or recorded value upon true value, or measured value upon true value. So when they will say that the given value is a measured value, means it is the value of z, and the given value is a true value, it is the value of y, or exciting motion or recorded motion. This is what we have to always understand and remember. Now, for seismometer, we know that z upon y is equal to r square upon square root of 1 minus r square bracket square, where r is nothing but omega by omega n bracket square. Then y is nothing but the amplitude of vibrating body, and z is nothing but the relative amplitude of mass with respect to frame. This is what we have already derived. Okay. Now, as I have explained you earlier, that the seismometer becomes a vibrometer, velometer, and a exometer as we introduce some primary sensing element. So in the first case, we introduce a strain sensing transducer which generated an output signal proportional to the relative displacement of a vibrating body. Then we introduce a seismic mass and a coil and a magnet which generate with the coil generated an output signal proportional to the relative velocity of a vibrating body. And then we use a piezoelectric crystal suppressed under the mass which generated an output signal proportional to the acceleration of a body. So now obviously this formula will also change. Now for vibrometer is nothing but a displacement. So for displacement means what? This z upon y indicates a displacement. This z upon y indicates what? Displacement. Because the z is nothing but a relative amplitude, and y is nothing but what? Y is nothing but what? Amplitude of a vibrating body. So they all are in meters. So this z upon y indicates a displacement. Okay. So vibrometer is nothing but a vibration pickup which measures the displacement. So formula for the vibrometer will remain same as that of the seismometer. So z upon y, which indicates the displacement, is equal to r upon square. Now, but for velometer, this z upon y, for velometer, what is the parameter? The parameter is nothing but a velocity. Okay, so this z upon y is nothing but a displacement. Z upon y is nothing but a displacement. So you have to convert this. First of all, you have to convert this z upon y into the velocity. So when you convert this, so I can write this like as z upon y is equal to omega by omega n into omega by omega n. So this is nothing but r square here. Okay. Now this z upon y, if I multiply with this omega by omega n, means what? I am multiplying this. So we know that what is velocity? Velocity is nothing but a z into omega. right? Or y into omega n, whatever. So when you multiply this displacement term with omega, that becomes a velocity. So that is why this formula gets modified. So when you multiply this r from r square, we have omega by omega n two times omega by omega n into omega by omega n. So when you multiply this z by y with 1 omega by omega n, it becomes a velocity, that is z into omega. Okay, or you can also write like x into omega, one and the same. So this becomes velocity. So remaining is what? Only r. Okay, so this seismometer will behave as a velometer. Mathematically, z up, when you will write z upon y into omega by omega is equal to r. So instead of r square, I have r. Okay, so you have to understand from the numerical that what is given. The ratio of velocity is given, you have to use this formula. The ratio of displacement is given, you have to use this formula. And obviously, what is acceleration? Acceleration is nothing but a z into omega square. So when you multiply by omega square, because you know na, y is equal to y sin omega t. This becomes velocity when y dot is equal to y cos omega t. This becomes acceleration when y dot is double dot is equal to y double dot is equal to, one second, I'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so this y double dot is equal to minus y into omega square into sine omega t. So this minus y into omega square indicates the acceleration, that is the y double dot, right? So that is why what I will do is complete r square, that is nothing but omega square by omega square. I will multiply by this displacement ratio, and now this becomes the acceleration ratio. So if the acceleration axiometer is given and acceleration ratio is given, its formula becomes 1 upon 1 minus r square plus 2 zeta r square. So this is how the formula gets modified. So this is nothing but the basic formula of seismometer, which is same as the hygrometer. For velometer, it will become r upon 1 minus r square bracket square plus 2 zeta r square, and for axiometer, it will become 1 upon this. So we have to modify this formula according to the application. Okay. Lastly, we'll understand the comparison over here. So first of all, parameters. So mass of the device in case of the vibrometer or velometer, both are one and the same, is more, right? The mass of the device is more because we know that it is called as a low frequency transducer, and axiometer is less, hence it is called as a high frequency transducer. Natural frequency of device is obviously less, it is very high. Practical applicability measures the displacement of a vibrating body, measures the acceleration of a vibrating body. Error estimation is more, error estimate is very low. So as I said that when zeta is exactly equal to 0.07, your error estimation is very low, that is z is exactly equal to y, having very less error. Maybe instead of plus minus 2%, the error will be equal to plus minus 0.5% for the axiometer. For axiometer, the error is very low. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay, so thank you so much. In the next lecture